basic searching in ELK Kibana when used for cybersecurity purposes in a SIEM. And for this, we're going to use Blue Team Labs Online using the retired lab Defaced. So our first step is we want to extract all the useful fields into columns. We're going to try to answer the who, what, when, where, why questions, and often this means looking for things like the time, the IPs, host names, things like that. So you'll be initially presented your logs in a raw log format, and in order to look for the values, we're going to either use these columns on the side here, or we're going to open up our logs and we're going to look through them and click this third button here for anything that we find valuable to provide the context that is necessary for us to conduct our investigation. So for these logs, I'm only going to pull these 4 fields out. And now we have some context and see what's going on. So next we will start to pivot. So that's going from a small log source to a larger log source, and then a larger log sample, and then going back down to a small one until we've kind of figured out our investigation. So the first method is using filters. We can filter based on value. These can be modified to be or statements themselves, or look for the simple existence of a value. If you have multiple filters, they are connected together with AND statements. And filters can also be inverted and disabled. So an example, the simple way is to click here to filter for value. We can also use these fields on the left to filter for and filter against values. So we can remove the get symbols. And then you can also filter for the existence of a value here. So this hash kind of implies that there isn't one. This field does not exist. Or sometimes it will imply that it is just a dash. So that's what that is. We can edit our filters here by editing them and making it into an or statement by using the is one of. We can do a between, so if it's a number, and exists as well. If you ever see some JSON, you can copy that into here and then click save. We can also invert our filters, so include results, exclude, and disable our filters. Okay. Filtering is also the fastest and most efficient way for the Kibana backend to perform searches. Next, we can use the search bar, and for this I will demonstrate. So if I simply copy a value into the search bar, it will search across all fields that are displayed here for that value. Now that's not very efficient, so we can increase the efficiency or reduce the scope of that search by specifying the field name first and then searching. Next we have wildcards for searching multiple values. So if I wanted to do an AND statement to do multiple and just G or P maybe, it's now looking for posts, as you can see there. And we can also show you a more complicated one. So here we have client IP that has a parentheses here to search for only these 2 IPs. We don't want to see get values, and we have a greater than symbol, greater than equals for not including these over 400. Bytes exists, so byte anything, so long as byte has any value. That is the exact same as this filter here, by the way. So bytes exist is the exact same as that. And then we have request m/m dash, so anything here. We also have things such as source port, range search, so 0 to 1024. That is not necessarily supported on all versions of Kibana. And we also have the escape characters. So using KQL, the escape character is this little value right here. that is above the tab key on most keyboards. And then if we swap the version to Lucene by turning this off here, the escape character is this slash here. Generally, the easiest way is just to use the escape string recipe from CyberSecurity. And the escape strings might be relevant for things like file names and any special characters. Finally, just be aware that if this was an OR statement, I may want to use another set of parentheses around the whole thing here. So that's going to potentially increase our scope of the logs quite a bit. As you can see, that is also how the parentheses can work. Finally, we have the aggregations. So the way to perform an aggregation, initially perform your initial search query to produce your logs that you would like to see your aggregation of. Then in the available fields section, click on the field you would like to aggregate. So if I go to if I simply remove all of these, just see the initial 16,000 logs, I would see that there are multiple IPs, and say I wanted to know exactly how many hits for each IP, and this isn't telling me. So in this version of Kibana, visualizations are not supported, but it would be an option to click visualize here. You would click that, it would bring up your visualization page. You will edit on the right here, you can edit the amount of columns to display, increase that number, then export as a CSV at the top, and you'll have all your values that you need. These can then be edited in CyberSecurity, so using find replace, you can find new lines and then replace with OR, and then you can copy that back into your Kibana search bar up here.